Hi, everyone. I am Robbie Vorspan. I'm on the staff of Clubhouse International, and we are so glad to be together with all of you, even if it has to be through this limited means of the Zoom screen. But being together in any form is so important because, as all of us know, our Clubhouse relationships are the beating heart of our Clubhouse movement. And it's just plain good for the health of our great communal Clubhouse heart that we have this opportunity to be here with each other in this moment. That is actually the topic of this workshop called Reach Out, Clubhouse Reach Out, Evolving, Enhancing, and Expanding Our Practice. Our Clubhouse movement has always known, and COVID and quarantine have only made it clearer than ever, that our daily, persistent, consistent efforts to reach out and connect to members and nourish those relationships is the most important work that we do in a Clubhouse. In order to be healthy and whole, every human being needs to have the experience of belonging and being needed and wanted. And people living with the isolating pain of living with a mental illness need that even more than everyone else. Our panel today consists of teams from 2 clubhouses, both of which have excelled in developing strategies for reaching out to members that have successfully strengthened the bonds of connection throughout their Clubhouse communities and ensured that members are woven into a deep web of support and care. We're going to hear from Andy Wilson and Rosie Robinson from the Carriage House in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and from Jennifer Lubiani, Wings Blayhut, and Matt Reed from Journey House in Logan, Utah. This panel has worked together to create a presentation that will take you through both clubhouses' evolutions in developing strong and effective reach out practices. Both clubhouses will describe their historical reach out efforts and then move on to how they've adjusted those to address the new reality of COVID, quarantine, and social distancing. And they'll finish with their vision for building on what they have learned as they work to continue to develop even stronger reach out practices going forward. Then we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end. So as Shannon said, if you have a question, you can post it on the chat function anytime during the presentation. Rosie and Andy, can you introduce yourselves and then pass it on to our friends in Utah?
Hi, I'm Rosie Robinson. Good afternoon. I moved to the Fort Wayne area 5 years ago from Indianapolis. It was thanks to my caseworker here in Fort Wayne that I learned about the Carriage House. I've been a member for about 2 years, and I am so excited to be here.
And I am Andy Wilson, also from the Carriage House. I've been kicking around clubhouses since 1993, and I've been here at the Carriage House since 2000. How about you guys at Journey House?
Thanks, Andy. So my name is Matt Reed. I'm the director of Journey House in Layton, Utah. Andy and I are both actually on Clubhouse International faculty. And a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to go back to Carriage House and do their accreditation visit. And so I can attest to what a great clubhouse they are. It was our pleasure to present with them at this conference. Again, my name is Matt Reed. I've been in Clubhouse since 1996. I started at a clubhouse in northern Utah in the kitchen, and I don't really know how to cook, so that was interesting. I worked there for a number of years, and then I became the director of New Reflection House in Tooele, Utah in 2000, and I was there for about 18 years, and I've been the director of Journey House now for 2 years in Layton, Utah. Jen?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Lubiani, and I've worked at 2 different clubhouses, both with Matt. I worked for New Reflection House for 4 years in Tooele, Utah.
And then she abandoned me.
But I did learn my lesson, and I've been working for Journey House for a year now. I love everything about Clubhouse. I just love our relationships that we share.
My name is Wings Blayhut. Yes, my name really is Wings, and I do love me some chicken wings. I have been a member of Journey House for 6 years. I was a member for 5 years, and then I moved away to Illinois for 5 years. After a year ago, I came back to Journey House and was immediately welcomed back. I'm a living example of standard number 6. I'm currently the vice president of the advisory board. Clubhouse is a wonderful, nourishing environment for me to thrive in. Back to Rosie and Andy to let us know about Reach Out at Carriage House prior to COVID.
Thank you, Wings. So I guess Rosie and I will start talking a little bit about the way we were doing Reach Out pre-COVID. So I guess it's not surprising, we're all deeply aware of the critical need to remain in touch with the members of our community. So for many of us, a phone call or a message that simply says, hey, I'm thinking about you, that can make a huge difference in somebody's day and very often in somebody's life. So to be clear, the Carriage House has tried thousands of different reach out systems over the years. We've used computer systems and paper systems and binder systems. We've made scripts and taken pictures and done mass mailings and incorporated social media. And we are happy to report that pre-COVID, we were making about 4,000 phone calls and sending about 3,000 cards every year, including mobile outreach and stuff like that. We are not happy to report that despite our best efforts, our reach out system was not as strong as we would have liked.
I'll talk a little bit about our current version of Reach Out. When I was first a member, well, when I first became a member, I was in the loft unit, the upstairs unit of the Carriage House. I started doing Reach Out as part of the work order day. At that moment, our Reach Out system worked like this. First, when a person would become a member, they would fill out a Reach Out survey, which asks how often they want to be contacted for phone calls, and to be specific on phone calls, what time of day. This information is put into our Reach Out computer data system. Then every day, after we finished doing attendance, we would update the Reach Out list to show the last date that the member was here or last contacted by us. We sort the Reach Out database by the date they were last contacted. That way, we prioritize the members we haven't reached recently. It has names, date of birth, their active status, what kind of reach out they would like, and the date they were last in the Clubhouse or contacted. The spreadsheet also includes a daily, weekly, or monthly due by date. That helps us make sure we are not missing members. There is also a column for notes where we put down information received about the Reach Out contact. These sheets are printed for both of our units, the Rock and the Loft, and we use them as Reach Out prompts. The information is turned into our data entry area so the Reach Out list can be updated for the next day. That's the way Reach Out was handled pre-COVID.
So when that system worked, it worked pretty well, but often it didn't.
Hello?
Hi, is this Rosie?
Yes, who's this?
This is Andy from the Carriage House. I just wanted to let you know that we're going to the park on Saturday.
Andy, I really don't care, and I don't want any more phone calls.
What?
When it didn't work, it was most often for one or two reasons. First, the member that we were calling may no longer want to be contacted, and we hadn't updated the Reach Out notes correctly. Or secondly, the person making the call didn't really know the member they were calling, so it was impersonal. Also, many times, we didn't really have anything important to say to the member, so it was just a list of what was happening with recreation. What about you guys from Journey House?
Thank you, Rosie. It seems like you've done a lot of different types of reach out prior to COVID, but you kept trying. Some were effective and some were not. The most important thing is you did keep trying. So I would like to tell you a little bit about our reach out. Standard number 7. The Clubhouse provides an effective reach out system to members who are not attending, becoming isolated, in the community are hospitalized. Reach Out is so important that it is one of our standards. It outlines the purpose of Reach Out, but it is up to each clubhouse to make the Reach Out system as effective as possible. You could see all the work that Carriage House went through in trying to make their Reach Out effective as possible. Let me tell you a little bit about ours. Sometimes the greatest gift that you can give another person is to simply include them. I love this quote because everyone wants to feel included and loved. I am so grateful to be presenting on the importance of the Reach Out component in the clubhouse. After working at New Reflection House in Tooele for 4 years,
Before Jen abandoned me.
I left and returned to Mississippi to help my mother. While in Mississippi, I worked at the local hospital as a social worker. At the hospital, it's mainly patient focused, and people would come and go, and no one really noticed or cared. That was really hard for me because I deeply missed the meaningful and wonderful relationships that we shared at Clubhouse. Luckily, I was able to return to work for Clubhouse again, this time at Journey House. At Clubhouse, each member is like part of our family. We're just one big family. And when one part of the family is missing, we notice. And naturally, we want to reach out to them and let them know they're wanted, needed, and appreciated. We truly miss each and every person when they are absent at the clubhouse. So at Journey House, we did a lot of reach out prior to COVID. It was a big part of our day and really helped develop the deep relationships with our members in each unit. The reach out prior to COVID was based on the clubhouse unit structure. Each member of the clubhouse was part of a unit, so it provided a natural and easy way to divide the membership. Each unit would make reach out phone calls, mail cards, newsletters, send out activity magnets, and occasionally create fun candy bar posters for reach out. A candy bar poster is something fun we do at Clubhouse. For example, we put the candy in place of the words, so it feels like a payday, and we put a little payday candy bar there. When you come during crunch times, the members absolutely love these, and it's a nice little surprise that's different. The only thing is when we're making them, we have to have extra paydays because someone always eats our payday candy bars.
We have extra on hand. Just
We have to have a lot of extra paydays.
One of the best things that our clubhouse did prior to COVID is really our mobile outreach. We would oftentimes go and visit members who were struggling, who maybe were new members that hadn't been coming, or members that just hadn't been at Clubhouse for some time. Our mobile outreach was done every day from noon and from 12:30 until 1. We did this while the rest of the Clubhouse was cleaning up after lunch. Each of our units would take a day, and they would go and visit members of their unit that lived nearby. And then on Friday, while the Clubhouse was shopping in the afternoon, we would do a little more extensive mobile outreach and go to some of the parts of our county that are a little further away that we couldn't see in that half an hour. I think the key with us worked so well is that we made sure that the reach out team was back at 1 o'clock for unit meetings, so it didn't impact the work order day.
Oftentimes, the team would bring lunch with them and an activity magnet. An activity magnet is a list of all our upcoming activities that we like to do 3 months at a time, and we make them into neat little magnets where they can put them on the fridge, and as a little reminder, hey, this activity's coming up, I got to be sure to sign up for it. The members absolutely love having their activity magnets. Mobile outreach was effective and truly one of the best things we did to help our members know that they were cared about, wanted, needed, and appreciated at the clubhouse. Often members who we had not seen in days or weeks would come in the very next day after mobile reach out. Sometimes they would even come in and do the afternoon work order day with the unit. Then COVID hit. Andy and Rosie, would you like to share what happened at Carriage House during COVID?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Journey House. That was great.
Yes.
So Rosie and I will now share a little bit about
At the same time, and I was going to come in, but then I messed around with my laptop for a little while to make sure it was going to work.
All right, so now Rose and I are going to share a little bit about our COVID journey and reach out innovations at the Carriage House. So Carriage House closed on March 15th. It was the first time in my Clubhouse career that we actually closed a Clubhouse. It was terrifying. Most of our staff continued to come to work, but because we weren't open for members, there was really not a lot for us to do except reach out. So on that very first day, we began by buying a teleconference package and had teleconference meetings twice a day. We got the phone number out to everybody through our Facebook groups and through our personal contacts. So we reached every single member of the Clubhouse by phone or text on that first day. So we gave them all the information on the teleconference meetings and told them about the closure. But then we recognized very early that twice per day teleconferences and individual reach out efforts were just not going to be enough to meet the moment of crisis and fear for our Clubhouse. So we started doing care packages and delivering them in mobile outreach stuff. We started having Zoom meetings and groups, did recreations on Discord, Facebook Live events. We did pretty much anything that we could think of. However, probably the best thing that we did was to create reach out families starting on that second day. So our idea was to create small groups, usually 4 or 5 members and a staff person, and we would ask those folks to contact each other every day. So it was critical. It was critical, not only for the members who needed the support, but also, and maybe more importantly, so that there was real, meaningful, important, and immediate ways for members to be needed. So the onus of doing that critical outreach was necessarily moved from a small group of staff in the building to the entire Clubhouse community through our outreach families.
I was contacted by a staff member and asked if I would reach out at least 4 members. I was given their names and telephone numbers and asked to contact them daily. Because I've worked a lot at the reception desk at Carriage House, I knew most of our members by name. I called members every day. I would ask them if they had any support needs, how they were handling COVID. On occasion, the calls were pretty long because almost everybody was depressed. I would update the Clubhouse on the needs of members during our Zoom meetings, or if someone needed community support, it was arranged during those meetings, or I would contact staff. I was also depressed. The Reach Out family helped me feel like I wasn't alone with the COVID crap. It made me feel useful. To be honest, I am a senior citizen with COPD, and COVID scared the crap out of me. And having contact with members who were in the same boat made a huge difference. It got me through the closure of the Clubhouse. My Reach Out family became my friends, and I am still in contact with many of them.
So Reach Out families essentially became the core of kind of a multi-layer outreach system we were trying to do. So when I would talk to anyone, after I checked in with them, my first question was always, hey, how's your outreach family doing? What's going on with your outreach family? It was the first Reach Out system that the Carriage House has ever created that truly decentralized the Reach Out function. It changed kind of that impersonal list of recreation into something deeper and something better.
So a typical Reach Out call would include, how are you? Do you need any groceries? How about toilet paper? Is there anything I can help with or the Clubhouse staff can help with? And then we would talk about our days. I might talk about my cat. Someone might talk about the roommate or family. Reach out, families made reach out. Less like I was reading from a script and more like I was making new friends. This is how I think reach out should be. Now let's hear about some of the great innovations at Journey House in their video.
As we go along. I've been in a cave for 40 days, only a spark to light my way. I wanna give out, I wanna give in. This is our crime, this is our sin. But I still believe, through the pain and through the grief, through the lies, through the storms, through the cries, and through the wars. Oh, I still believe. I'm out on my own, walking these streets, and look at the faces that I meet. I feel like I wanna go home. What do I feel? What do I know? But I still believe, through the shame and through the grief, through the heartache, through the tears, through the waiting, through the years. For people like us, in places like this, we need all the hope that we can get. Oh, I still believe.
When COVID first started, Journey House had to change dramatically. Before COVID, we had 30 members a day coming to the clubhouse. Those first few months after COVID, we had to limit our membership to only a few members per day.
You know, and just like Andy mentioned, this was one of the most difficult things that I had to do as a director. I had to close the clubhouse to our members for one day. It was a lot of work, and it was certainly not Clubhouse. So that after day 2, I'm like, this is not happening. We're adding members back in. We reviewed all of the members that we had, and we went through and selected 5 or 6 members that we knew lived by themselves and would really struggle without any contact from Clubhouse. We also knew, again, back then with COVID, we didn't know how it was really, how you could catch it, I guess. So we made sure that we wanted people that lived alone so that they couldn't bring the virus up to the clubhouse, and then vice versa. That if we were to get the virus from doing all of our visits, that we wouldn't bring it back to a family. So we had 5 or 6 members who were in this category, and they came on day 2 and continued to help the clubhouse operate as best we could throughout the entire pandemic. And we really did that for the first 3 months until about July 1st is when we were able to allow at least half of our average daily attendance back. But for those first 3 months, it was just that small group of members and staff.
Those first few members and staff cooked 80+ meals a day and then delivered them to every member who was not able to attend. They broke the entire membership into 4 different routes based on where members lived. Then a member and staff went and visited each Clubhouse member daily. They would bring them a meal, daily newsletter, assist with any community support needs, and give each member some work order day responsibilities to still be able to remain engaged in the Clubhouse.
As a kitchen unit, it was overwhelming. We were used to cooking 25 to 30 meals per day. Overnight, we had to prepare 80+ meals a day, 6 days a week. We quickly realized that we could not do it without our members. Each day we would do traditional work order day each morning. We would cook. We would do our janitorial work in the business unit. They would type newsletter, the daily newsletter, which included current health tips regarding staying safe during COVID, some Clubhouse news, fun articles that members wrote, and some jokes that would lighten their day. And for many members, this was their only lifeline to the outside world. We were able to quickly organize and start working again at Clubhouse.
Thank goodness they figured it out, because I spent a long 3 months without really being able to participate in person at Journey House. Good thing for sure was that the Clubhouse would reach out to me every day during those 3 months. I looked forward to them showing up and asking me if there was anything I needed or that they could do for me. They were so optimistic about everything, and so it was so reassuring to have friends come to my place of residency to check up on me. Just to have some sort of a contact with the outside world was what I needed to get through to the next day. I was still able to participate in the work order day from my house. I did some research for the Clubhouse. I wrote some newsletter articles. I even worked on some grant writing while I was at home. This helped me realize that I was still a part of the Clubhouse. Even though I couldn't be there in person, I was still a meaningful part of the team. The Clubhouse helped me with everything and anything that I needed. They would go grocery shopping for me so I could stay at home, and they did this for everyone that needed it. They took me to any appointment I had, so I didn't have to get on the bus so I could stay safe. During this time, I went a week without taking my medications. I had no way to get them. I had a panic attack, and I called Matt. He went and got them and delivered them to me. I felt so much better and was so thankful that someone was there for me when I needed it most. I also had a birthday during the first part of COVID, and they brought me a little birthday present and a birthday card. Thank y'all. During this whole time, I was always safe, so I really didn't go out anywhere, and the relief of having someone stop by daily who wanted to see me really felt good. I really got a good understanding that the Clubhouse members and the staff really cared about me and the way I live my life.
So after 3 months, Journey House was able to partially reopen. We're still actually in that boat. We couldn't have everyone attend due to social guidelines, social distancing, and state regulations. But on July 1st, we were able to have half of our average daily attendance return, so 15 members a day. And we still have that coming today, 15 members a day.
I got a call from my director, and he asked me if I'd like to come back to Journey House. This is my director, Matt, saying that they are working around the difficulties of COVID and trying to get more members back. Many members were scared to come back due to the COVID virus still present in the community, and a few still are scared to return. But since I've been back, I've been working again in the work order day and doing the social activities. We are really safe, if I might add. Everybody is wearing masks and social distancing. We now have a lot of members coming back to Journey House. To date, we have no members or staff that have had the virus. We are not out of the woods yet. COVID is still out there. We still deliver some meals to members who are not attending Clubhouse. Being at home and alone was really hard, so I knew that when I when they would deliver me my meal and I could sit down and imagine that I was at Journey House eating, it gave me a sense of comfort, and I felt motivated to get up and do more things in my home instead of self-demoralizing myself. Even though a lot has changed, a lot is still the same. COVID has brought us even closer together, and our relationships are even stronger now. I hope that we can learn from the past and add some things that we've learned over the last few months and create an even more vibrant reach out system in the future. Andy and Rosie, tell us about the future of reach out at Carriage House.
Absolutely happy to, but first we got to say happy birthday, Wings.
Right.
It's good to have you back. I'll have to say happy headband. That thing rules. And
Right.
thirdly,
Thank you.
is crazy. Those numbers are stunning.
Yes.
So to be honest, for us, we're struggling. We have a limited attendance. We're about 20, 25 members a day. Normally it's 65 or so. It leads to limited need and opportunities for members in the house. I got to say, culturally, this has been probably the most trying time of my Clubhouse career. Prior to COVID, we were in the middle of a hiring process for a new staff, so we were short staffed to begin with. But honestly, our current issue is not a lack of staff. It's a lack of members. Our staff are having to work twice as creatively to engage a membership that's not in the building. And even when we're in the building, there's just less work to do because there's less people here. So my overarching fear is that we as a Clubhouse, and maybe even we as a Clubhouse community, will get comfortable having such a limited attendance in the building. It's less busy, it's less exciting, it's less involved than it was previously. However, Reach Out has been a shining light of the work at the Carriage House anyway. As we fight to return to some kind of normal, we restarted the unit-based Reach Out system that Rosie had talked about, and we really had stopped following up on our Reach Out families. So Rosie and I are currently in the process of helping our Clubhouse reintegrate Reach Out families as part of our everyday Reach Out process.
Currently, the Carriage House is only partially open. We did have a daily sign-up sheet, which would only allow 18 members at a time in the building. And then members could only attend 2 days a week. We have incorporated a few pieces of our innovations from the COVID days. We are still using Zoom for our daily meetings, 2 a day. We have it set up so each unit can have its own meeting with members and staff on Zoom as well as in person. Also during COVID, we began having those 2 Zoom meetings I talked about, but we also had them on Saturdays and Sundays, including our normal Saturday recreation. This has been incorporated into our regular workday, so we're used to it. On the weekends, it is facilitated by a few members and is now a little less formal.
So we are still figuring out how to be a great Clubhouse during this time. As Rosie and I were writing this presentation with Journey House, we've recognized 2 things. One, Journey House kicks ass on mobile outreach, and we need to steal their system.
Yeah.
2, the Reach Out families that we developed in response to the COVID crisis are really, from our perspective, an elegant and workable solution to the 2 issues that Rosie pointed out earlier. 1, a weak system for keeping track of what's going on with outreach, and 2, an impersonal contact from someone who you don't know. We're using our policy meetings now to discuss new outreach strategies, in particular, making the Reach Out family a permanent fixture and not just for emergencies. So instead of Reach Out being only unit-based, as it was previously, it would be expanded to also include a family tree-based system. So from the beginning, each member would become part of a small group of members and staff, their Reach Out family. We think that this will necessarily mean that a Reach Out call would come from a number and a voice that is immediately familiar to somebody.
In summary, For what it's worth,
Hold on one second, Rosie.
okay,
There you go.
here are some suggestions. Assess your Clubhouse's current reach out system. And if you're struggling with the same issues we are, try to implement a reach out family system. Join us in stealing the great ideas from Journey House. Lastly, using the great relationships between members of the Clubhouse, we think is the right basis for whatever reach out system you use. And now we are happy to give our friends from Journey House the last word.
Thanks, Rosie. I don't know how you did it. I'm amazed that Andy would give up the last word, but we'll take it. So what have we learned? How can we make our reach out better in the future? Reach out has always been an integral part of the clubhouses that I've been a part of. As a faculty member, Robbie would often joke that she can tell which reports I'm a part of because I always focus on mobile outreach in each accreditation report that I do for Clubhouse International, because it is such an integral part of our clubhouses. COVID has shown us that we can improve and do even better in the future. Here's a few things that we've learned and will implement in our clubhouse in our future reach out program. Number one is the reach out is even more critical at this time. COVID is an interesting pandemic. It promotes isolation and it promotes laziness. It takes away a person's natural supports. It takes away their family. It takes away their friends. It takes away their clubhouse. It fosters anxiety, depression, and paranoia. We have some members who prior to COVID were actively participating in Journey House full time. Now their new norm is sleeping in until noon and watching TV all day. Reach out really is needed now more than ever. We need to break down those barriers that COVID has built and help make sure that each and every member is well and encourage them to come back.
Daily contact. If there's one thing that COVID has shown us, it is the importance of having daily contact with members and staff. It can be a phone call, a text, a Facebook message, internet meeting, or an in-person visit. Having daily contact with the clubhouse is critical to helping each and every member feel wanted, needed, and appreciated. It shows the clubhouse really cares about them as a person. We hope to continue this after COVID ends. Continue to reach out to every member that is not in attendance.
Smaller outreach groups. It is much easier to conduct a lot of reach out in smaller groups. This makes the reach out more personal and intimate. Oftentimes the clubhouse units are so large that not everyone knows everyone within the unit. Reach out visits are even more meaningful if a close friend reaches out. This smaller family, as Carriage House calls it, is a great way to ensure that no one is forgotten and will provide closer, deeper reach out contacts. We will be stealing that great idea from Carriage House.
Ensuring that all members' needs are being met. Oftentimes, reach out in the past was simply making sure the member was okay and encouraging them to return to Clubhouse. During COVID, we expanded our reach out to take care of any member's needs regardless of their participation in the Clubhouse. This truly has been wonderful. It's really looking at the whole person and what that member's needs are. Oftentimes, it included helping with scheduling appointments, getting assistance, or getting them to a doctor or a therapist or a dentist, as well as taking care of their food or grocery needs, and certainly their employment development. For example, we helped 2 of our members obtain full-time employment during COVID when they couldn't even come to the clubhouse. It truly was awesome. We would like to continue that philosophy in the future. Another one is more social media. This has become a big part of our reach out. People all over the world connect via social media, and it's a big part of our society. I have many clubhouse friends around the world. I'm even friends with Andy. And I enjoy seeing their posts, celebrating birthdays, and their accomplishments all from my phone. We have found similar joy from members and staff within our own clubhouse. Creating social media groups of just Journey House members and staff has been a great support for our clubhouse. Celebrating together, working together, all remotely, provides every member the opportunity to connect with each other regardless of where they're at.
And members that are not attending, we can offer home projects. The heart of the Clubhouse is relationships and work. Work is therapeutic and strengthens relationships. If a member is unable to attend Clubhouse, we should offer some meaningful work for that member to do at home. This has been instrumental for our Clubhouse during COVID.
You know, this is one thing that I never really thought about prior to COVID, but members at home can contribute a lot to the operation of the house. This includes participating in online meetings, as well as a wide variety of unit tasks that can all be completed from afar. This is certainly not meant to take away from in-person participation at Clubhouse, but it could supplement it to members who are not attending for whatever reason.
And we have a member, Nico, who is currently undergoing cancer treatment. His chemo prevents him from coming up to Journey House, and Nico absolutely loves the newsletter. Having him write newsletter articles makes him feel connected to the Clubhouse during his absence.
Grant writing and fundraising. We have found a lot of value in grant writing during COVID. It has allowed a lot of members to remain engaged in meaningful work from their home. Monies raised has helped our Clubhouse provide so many resources for our members during COVID. Over 6,000 free meals have been delivered from Journey House Reach Out teams so far. This would not have been possible without grant writing. I would like to make this more of an emphasis after COVID ends. Continue to have the urgency to raise monies to allow the Clubhouse to fully operate and provide even more opportunities to the members.
And I think the final point is to have more member-led reach out teams. Again, this goes back to Carriage House's philosophy with families. Similar to the engagement of members, oftentimes member-led reach out is more effective than staff-led teams. One of the most powerful tools in a Clubhouse is to have members engage other members in the work order day. Similarly, having members reach out to other members is a powerful way to build strong relationships and leaders within the Clubhouse. We heard from many members that seeing other members on the COVID reach out team meant so much to them. They certainly enjoyed seeing the staff, but they really connected to having other members be on the team.
We have incorporated a buddy system that when a member goes through orientation, the other member on the orientation teams become their buddy. Those members will help the new member with any questions they may have or any difficulties. Obviously, at first, the relationships are not developed. However, over time, they truly do become meaningful friendships. Again, creating smaller reach out groups or families that would be more focused on individual needs than the former larger groups.
This is a unique and crazy time, as Andy mentioned so eloquently. None of us know what the future will hold. I don't think any of us could have imagined that everything would have had to change last March, but it did. We had to change. And I think not only did we change, but I think we really thrived at parts of it. We learned a lot. We certainly have become a stronger Clubhouse community. We hope to take many of the things that we learned and incorporate them into our future Clubhouse reach out efforts. Thank you.
See, we would have had any time.
Okay, thank you all. Shannon, did you have any announcements now? Can we just go into the Q&A now, Shannon, or did you have any other announcements? Okay, so we'll just go straight into the Q&A. Hopefully, everybody who wanted to post a question has done so on the conference app. And I am looking at that right now, and it looks like people did understand the function where you could click on somebody else's question to say, yeah, that's a good question. I'm interested in that too. So we have a lot of consensus about the questions. So it should make it pretty easy to select them at least. We have about almost 15 minutes. So let us begin with the question that got the most upvotes is, it's a very simple question, but it's a very difficult question, and I'm not sure how you guys are going to want to answer this, but it's just very simply, what is the most effective form of reach out? And I was thinking that maybe a good way to answer that is if we just go among the 5 of you, and each one of you just give us a few thoughts on it. And I thought that would be interesting because this is a panel that is members and staff. So we'll get different perspectives. Like for Rosie and Wings, it would be interesting for you to say what has been the most effective kind of reach out for yourselves. And maybe the people that are staff workers would have sort of a, more generic view of what seems to be the most engaging for people. So I hope you're all right with that, but I'm just going to kick it back over to Andy and Rosie to start. If each of you could just kind of briefly, from your perspective as your role in the Clubhouse, what do you think has worked the best? And particularly Rosie, what has been the most effective form of reach out for you?
I think the small reach out system from member to member is very important. Sometimes I feel like staff might be asking too generic questions. And if I call somebody and say, "Hi, I'm a member of Carriage House. How are you doing today?" It perks them up to know that they're talking to a member. And then if they have any feedback or in trouble or whatever, then we turn to our Carriage House people. Our staff.
Thank you, Rosie. How about you, Andy?
I think I got to step back from that question and say it's ultimately always about the relationship. So I've got friends who don't want a phone call from me, don't like the phone. So the best way to reach out to them is with a text. And I've got friends who don't like a text or a phone call, but will kill to have somebody come by to say, "Hey, just checking in on your apartment."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that I could say there is a most effective way to do it from my perspective, as much as the most effective relationship.
Yep. Good. Okay, let's turn it over to Journey House, guys.
The most effective way to do reach out is to show how much you care about the individual that you're seeing at the time. And it's really important to talk to them about their daily routine, their daily activities, anything that they can do, how their family's doing, relate to them as much as possible. If you can't do it in person, because the reach outs to the homes are much more mature, I would say, and they are much more physically growing when those situations come into play. It's so much better for me when I would have a reach out from the staff and the people that my fellow members that would come and see me, because I'd be at home and I was scared to go out, and then to see familiar faces out there on my doorstep was what really got to me and made me realize, well, I don't have to stay in here the rest of my life. I'll be able to rejoin and to reconduct and to live my life once more. And so that was what was really helpful.
Great, thank you. How about you, Matt?
Having worked at 2 different clubhouses, I feel like the members have most appreciated the mobile reach out, where we're in person, we're on their doorstep, we're handing them lunch, we're giving them candy bar posters, magnets, little birthday surprises. I found that they really love that, and I love it too, because I love to see their faces.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, mobile outreach is our big thing. I certainly do believe in the power of it. I mean, the statistics are impressive. I think it's 85% of the folks either, and these are people we haven't seen for weeks, that we'll go and visit them, and they'll either be back the next day, or they'll even come back with the team. And these are people that we haven't seen for weeks, like I said. So I think it really is powerful. But like Andy said, it's also unique. I mean, some people don't like a visit. There are a few of those, and some people maybe respond better. A lot of the young kids respond better to social media and to text. So I think it is. I love how the standard talks about the importance, but it does leave it open for you to decide what's best for your clubhouse, what's best for your members and staff. So
thank you all. It sounds like all of you agree that the individual relationship that you have with the member is the most important thing, and then from there you can determine what the most effective kind of reach out would be. That was also a very striking statistic, though, Matt, that mobile outreach, you're finding that 85%, that's a big number,
Yeah.
actually then come back to the clubhouse after that. So that's something for all of us to pay attention to also.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, this is a question for now in pandemic time. How do you do effective reach out with members who are not comfortable with technology and Zoom calls and, you know, all the kinds of technological ways of connecting that we've discussed? Maybe even, you know, no mobile outreach, we've talked about that. But what else? Why don't we go the same way? Carriage House, you guys want to take it first?
You wanna go first, Andy?
Sure. I think that we've done a lot of, we bought a bunch of cell phones so that we could hand them out to people that didn't have cell packages. And then we've done a lot of individual helping people get hooked up with some of the technology. So I just want to preface that technology really has been helpful. Having said that, I think for us, we want to take a page from Journey House and say, listen, if somebody's not technologically up to speed, we need to go see them. And for most people, I think, at least at the Carriage House, almost everybody either has a phone or will take a phone, so we can still reach them by phone. I know when we tried some Discord groups and we tried some other fancy stuff, and those were limited by technological prowess for sure.
How are you with technology, Rosie? Is that comfortable for you?
Well, yes, I enjoy the technology
Okay.
and the Zoom meetings. But I was also impressed with staff coming to my house and delivering a lunch, or a mobile person delivering my lunch. I had a member that brought me toilet paper when I was out. You know?
So
I mean,
mentioned.
yes. I think that mobile outreach is a very good idea. It's just, you'd have to incorporate members and staff to do all this.
So turning it over to Journey House, would you guys mind just giving us like, you know, the basic structure, the primer of how you organize that on a daily basis at Journey House?
I mean, sure. So we broke our county is fairly large. It's probably a half hour to go from one end of the county to the other. So we really had to break up and to be a member, it's anyone in the county. So we've got to cover that whole distance. So we broke it up into 4 geographic regions. I have 4 staff. So 4 geographic regions, we had about 4 or 5 members and 4 staff. So we were basically, each staff was taking at least 1 member, sometimes 2, and we were going and seeing everybody in that geographic region every day. Again, there were a few that maybe we couldn't get a hold of, but we would at least try and make a phone call if we couldn't get them. But for the most part, we saw everyone at home because they were all at home with COVID. As COVID has gone on, we've seen less and less staying home all day. So sometimes we'll go there for the visit and they're not home. So we've had to do a little, again, now we've opened up more, so that helps. So we still are doing reach out, but rather than doing 80 visits, we're probably doing about 20 right now, just because the clubhouse is partially open. And yeah, we would make a daily newsletter, which was a fabulous thing because a lot of our folks don't have a lot of technology. So it was kind of their one lifeline to the outside world was the little daily newsletter that we sent them with, you know, because again, COVID, it still changes, but back then it was changing every day with what they knew about COVID. So just giving the latest on what to expect, kind of a health and wellness thing with COVID and having the members go out. But we also did, yeah, we got a lot of grant money. So we got, all of our meals were paid for, all of the kit, the supplies. We did shopping for folks that needed it.
Well, let me interrupt for a minute because we only have a few more minutes. And I think, you know, this issue is so important and people want to know, I think, after COVID, post-COVID, how do you integrate mobile outreach into your daily life? Is it still every day going out to see every member who's not there? What's the structure of it?
I think ours will be, Robbie, making contact every day, whether it's in person or over the phone. Obviously, you've got a bunch coming to the clubhouse. You'll have a bunch that you can still do mobile outreach for, and then you've got a bunch that you would do media. Just making sure you have contact daily. Whether it's, I mean, maybe the mobile outreach would go to those that are technologically not able to do it. And those that you can do it via technology, that would be a phone or a Skype or a text or and then the rest are in person. So I think, again, I've always thought with mobile outreach, it's a very powerful tool, but you also have to be careful that it doesn't impact the work order day, because it is easy to get caught up out in the community, and then all of a sudden you've missed your afternoon unit meeting, and you're an hour back late coming back from the team, and the unit's in disarray. So I think it is important that you continue with that the mobile outreach doesn't impact your work order day.
Okay, we have 2 more minutes. So what I'd like to do is just go around to the 5 panelists and just say what you hope this audience will take away from this workshop going forward in terms of the reach out in their own clubhouse. So why don't you guys at Journey House start, since that's where we are.
Okay. I feel like the little things matter the most. If everyone could maybe incorporate little meaningful things, that would mean so much to the member, because you want the member to know how much they do mean to you in the clubhouse.
Right.
So any little thing that you can do to make it more personal.
Okay, great. Thanks. How about you, Wings?
Kind of going off that, members sometimes doubt that it's even going to happen. So do reach out, make sure it happens. Yesterday, I had to reach out for Matt and Jen. They walked right in my house, woke me up, and here I am. It works.
I don't know if I recommend that.
Go ahead, Matt. What's yours?
Obviously mine's just mobile outreach, making, just do it. I go to a lot of clubs and they're like, we can't do it, it's too hard, but you can do it. You maybe you can't see everybody all the time, but I think just incorporating it and making it a habit is what I'd recommend, doing some form of mobile outreach.
Just do it. Okay, Carriage House, how about you guys?
Are we muted? No. Okay. I think from my perspective, what it's brought home is we're a relatively sizable clubhouse. Got an active membership about, I think it's 240. For us, the ability to do good outreach, meaning personal, meaningful outreach, has to be carved up. And I don't think we really got that previously. So I think in terms of, I'm not sure about the size of everybody's clubhouse, and it may be that your clubhouse is tight enough that you've got good personal relationships with every single active member. But I know that in our community, we weren't getting it done right. So
Okay.
I think that's the big one.
Very concrete and helpful. Thank you. How about you, Rosie?
I believe that everybody should just come away with how important reach out is to maintain, sustain the clubhouse.
Perfect ending for this presentation. I want to thank both of you, both of your clubhouses, for the reach out that you do and for taking the time and putting all the thought into helping other clubhouses do a better job in that, because I think Rosie sums it all up, that this is the most important thing that we do, and we just have to really drill down and do it more and better. So thank you all. This is the end of